Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again. And on today's episode, I have an absolutely hilarious story for you here today that was sent to me earlier. And this is of a woman who decided to leave a man for better options. And now, what do you know it, guys? She's broke and she can't get commitment out of men. She is now a side piece to other random men. You know, I see a lot of wives do this, right? A lot of modern day women. They think that they can divorce a man and take half of his things. And sometimes what they do is they try and do that. And then they fail spectacularly, only to realize after they've done all this, they've gone through with the divorce or leaving the man, that nobody actually wants to take them seriously anymore. Nobody wants to give them a relationship. And it is absolutely hilarious because a lot of these chads never wanted anything serious in the first place. So let's jump into this story, guys. If you have any similar stories to share or any comments, make sure you leave them down below if you have any thoughts. And let's jump right into this one. So a man in his mid-40s thought his marriage would last forever. He worked multiple jobs to provide for his family, so he had a family with a woman as well. He paid off his wife's debts and was a loving father, but after years of her growing distant and disrespectful, she blindsided him with a divorce. Now, just by the way, guys, if you have a woman who is disrespectful towards you, it's never going to last, really, okay? A lot of the women who develop attitude problems, right, they become very disrespectful to you. Number one, no point having them in your life in the first place, right? If they're just going to be a pain in your ass, why are they even there? That's first of all. And second of all, it's never going to get better from here, right? And a lot of guys think that it's just going to get better and they put up with the disrespect. But to be honest, if you don't stomp that out immediately, women are only going to continue to disrespect you even worse as time goes on. A lot of guys think, oh, well, I can just solve the disrespect by giving her what she wants, you know, doing more of whatever it is that she's demanding at any particular point in time. And then those men are the ones who get screwed over the most. So hopefully something to be learned there. So she thought that she'd upgrade to a richer man, but things did not go as planned. Now she's struggling financially, while he's in the best shape of his life. He is happier, wealthier, and dating again. So here we go. For 16 years, he believed that he had built the perfect life. He had a wife, 2 kids, so he had a 14-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son, and a house he worked tirelessly to pay off. So this was a dude who was working multiple jobs, right, doing absolutely everything he could, and the woman still leaves his ass. I met her when I was young, he said. I told her she was going to be my wife within minutes of meeting her. So this is the problem, guys, is we have men out here who are just not valuing themselves or their commitment at all. It's amazing to me how dudes will just go out there and give lifelong commitment to a woman who typically doesn't even deserve it, by the way. Like, your average woman on the street does not deserve a lifetime of commitment from a man, right? And dudes are just handing out their attention for free. They're handing out their validation. They're handing out their commitment and not requiring anything from the woman. It's crazy to me how little standards men actually have. And I think a lot of this is to do with society also telling men that we're not allowed to have standards. I think it's really damn stupid. But, you know, society will try and convince you that as a man, if you have any sort of boundaries or standards, then that makes you a toxic individual. Meanwhile, women are allowed to have all of the standards in the world. So let's keep going here. I told her she was going to be my wife within minutes of meeting her. Absolute cringe. At the time, he thought he was making a bold romantic gesture. In reality, he had put her on a pedestal before he even knew who she really was. Exactly. After their second child was born, she started changing. She got mean, he admitted. She'd snap at me for no reason, talk to me like I was beneath her, and act like I disgusted her. Yeah, see, guys, when women act like this, there is absolutely 0 point keeping them around, right? Again, it's amazing to me, the nonsense and the disrespect that men will put up with. It's genuinely aggravating, right? You know what's funny? I actually find the woman's behavior to be less aggravating than the dude who sits there and decides to put up with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, dudes need to have a bit of a backbone when it comes to this sort of thing, in my opinion. Now, they can sit there and they can take it if they want, but that is certainly not my recommendation whatsoever. If your wife is walking around like you discussed her, or your girlfriend, or she's just constantly snapping at you, talking to you like you're beneath her. Why are you even there, my man? You know, what's the point? You're a hardworking, loyal man. Hell no. Absolutely not. So he assumed that she was sad. Instead of confronting her about her behavior, he tried to make her happy by doing more. And that's the problem that a lot of men make. They think that, oh, well, you know, my wife or girlfriend is angry at me. Let me just put in more effort. It doesn't work like that, guys. It really doesn't. Women will try and convince you that's what works, you know. Oh, if your wife is upset with you, you need to make her happy. You need to solve her problems or do any of this list of things that she requires you to do. But here's the thing. Men will go out here and do this, and it changes absolutely nothing. If anything, the problem tends to get worse, guys. Funny how that works, isn't it, right? You listen to the women for their dating advice, and your life situation gets worse. Crazy. Crazy how that works. So he said, I worked 3 jobs, I handled the housework, I took care of the kids, paid all the bills, and even paid off her 10 grand in credit card debt and her 15K student loan. But no matter what he did, she just became nastier. Disgusting, man. Disgusting. You know what I mean, guys? Like, there used to be a time where men could provide for women and they would be more inclined to respect the things that you do. But oftentimes these days, it's just crazy how men can put in a whole bunch of effort for women. They can go above and beyond, and it's just not appreciated. And oftentimes it's because of the attitude that these women have developed from all of the attention that they receive from chads without actually deserving it. You know, because this woman probably could go on Instagram and get a whole bunch of attention and validation over there. And so she thinks that she's above her significant other. She thinks that she's above her husband. That's what really happens, guys, is women have so many options, so much attention from simps and everything that you can do absolutely everything for her. And yet it still won't be enough because she's going to be thinking about some dude down the road. Insane. Let's keep going. At one point, he begged her to go to couples counseling, simp. She agreed, but only if he changed. The therapist told us that she needed more help around the house, he said. So I vacuumed, emptied the dishwasher, and straightened up every day on top of working 3 jobs, but it wasn't enough. She started talking down to me like I was a servant. I should have left right then and there, but instead, I made the biggest mistake of my life. He said that I will never divorce you, no matter what. The second those words left his mouth, everything changed. I could see it in her face. She knew she could do whatever I'd wanted, and I'd still be there. And that's the problem, right? I don't know why. So let me get this straight. This dude is working 3 jobs, paying all the bills, doing everything. Even if he, if this man is not even doing the house, like, what is she doing? That's my question. What is she doing? You know, the dude's running around doing absolutely everything, and you're telling me that this woman needs more help around the house? No. Like, she barely has anything to do, and this dude is doing even more of her job that she's supposed to be doing. Like, it's crazy, right? The dude can go out here, he can provide everything, he can work three separate jobs, he can pay her bills, he can pay off her student loans, and this woman can't even be bothered to vacuum the house and do the dishwasher. I'm sorry, that's just, throw the woman out, and if you really don't want to clean, get a maid or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. Like, this dude's life would actually probably improve, in fact definitely improve, if he just threw the woman out. Things would be so much easier. There'd be less to clean as well. You know, funny that. So by 2020, things were worse than ever. She barely spoke to him, refused intimacy, and openly disrespected him in front of their kids. One night after a family event, he tried to reconnect with her. She sat up in bed looking him in the eye and dropped the bomb. I don't want you anymore. I think we should get divorced. He was shocked. I lay in bed crying for 3 hours while she fell asleep like nothing happened. At first, he thought she was just unhappy and needed space, but within days, it became clear she had been planning this for a long time. Yeah, of course. She never liked this dude in the first place. Women will absolutely do this, guys. They will absolutely get into long-term relationships, and they will try for marriage with men who they don't have genuine interest in because they know these men are capable of providing. Okay, and once they get all the provisioning, once the years have passed, then we try and get a divorce and we try and take his things. That's the game plan. And the fact that the government allows this is absolutely disgusting, but this is the game plan of a lot of modern women, unfortunately. Let's continue. After she asked for a divorce, she started going out late at night. One night she said she was at a work event, but when he checked her location, she was sitting in an Applebee's parking lot until 1 a.m. I think we all know what that means. He confronted her and she lied. I called her while she was driving home. She told me she was talking to her mother, who was standing right in front of me. Finally, she admitted it. She had been seeing another man for months, a married doctor with 3 kids. She wanted a quote-unquote better option, someone richer. So I find this to also be funny, by the way, right? Is like, you'll have these women who oftentimes they complain. Have you guys ever seen like posts or just women talking about how, oh, I always, the guy I date, he always just ends up having a girlfriend, or he's just married. I always seem to stumble across men who are married whenever I'm dating. Here's a plot twist for you guys. Usually the women are actually selecting the men that are in the relationships. They're actually selecting the dudes who are successful and who have family. Like, these dudes are pre-selected by another woman, right? Which is a green flag to a lot of modern day women. And also they make a lot of money. So of course, it doesn't matter if the dude has a wife. It doesn't matter if the dude has a girlfriend. As much as the women say that it does, they don't care oftentimes. Now, not always, guys, before the old police come to the channel. All right, Taylor said, all women go after dudes who are married, right? I'm not saying that every single woman's going to do this, but what I am saying is it demonstrates pre-selection, and this is something that a lot of modern-day women are interested in. They want a guy who's desired by other women who's highly successful, and as much as they complain about these dudes, it's crazy to me how they always seem to end up in their bedrooms. Very, very strange how that works, isn't it? So she thought that she would win the divorce. She was so confident that she'd come out of the divorce on top. She told her family, her friends, and even their kids that she was excited to move on and start fresh. What she didn't expect, the divorce settlement did not go her way. No alimony, no child support, 50-50 custody, and he kept the house. This is a victory as far as I'm concerned, man. It's really sad, by the way, that I have to consider a victory losing half of the custody of your own children. Right, that's the point. That's the point we're at right now, right? If you manage to keep the house as a man, you don't have to pay all this crap. That's considered a victory. I find that very sad that I have to consider a victory still losing half of the access to your children. It's very sad stuff. So the only thing she got was $43K from the home's equity. I mean, that's still a sizable chunk, by the way. That's probably US dollars as well. She walked away with barely anything, he said, and for the first time in her life, she had to figure out how to survive on her own. At first, she thought she'd move in with her rich affair partner. Oh, you mean the one who had a wife? But he never left his wife. Ooh, rough. Instead, she was bouncing between random men, hoping that somebody would take her in. She started sneaking around with multiple guys. I stopped keeping track after a while, but every few weeks, my kids would mention a new quote-unquote uncle. Yeah, because that's awesome for your children, by the way, just having a bunch of strange men around your kids. That's always super cool. Guys, I'm not a father, okay, but this would disturb me deeply. I wouldn't like this at all, right? Imagine if you just had, your ex-wife or whatever had your kids 50% of the time, and she was bringing a whole bunch of strange random dudes around. I personally would not like that whatsoever. That just screams unsafe to me. Then things got worse. She couldn't afford the rent on her own. She got her car repossessed. That's so funny. She had to ask her parents for money, the same parents who told her she was making a mistake by leaving him. Meanwhile, he was thriving. Check this out. He focused on himself. He lost 40 pounds. He refurnished his house and he started dating again. He was happier, wealthier, and more confident than ever. What a surprise, guys. You get rid of the woman and you just suddenly have more money. Crazy. She thought I'd be miserable without her, but I was finally free. Meanwhile, she regretted everything. She started dropping hints, he said, asking if I'd ever consider taking her back, but I wasn't stupid. I know she was only interested because she had no options left. And see, by the way, guys, this is the difference usually, right? In these stories when we see, oftentimes when you hear a woman say like, oh, I'm focusing on myself, usually what it means, not always, but usually it just means hooking up with a whole bunch of random dudes, or developing her narcissism, so now she knows even more of the demands that she has for men. But this is usually what focusing on himself means for men. Losing weight, okay, doing something with his property, for example, right? Like this is, I'm always very happy to see when dudes lose weight. I think it's one of the biggest improvements you can do to your life as a man. If you're a dude who's overweight, Or if you're a dude who, you know, is feeling sad and stuff like this, taking your physical health seriously is probably one of the best moves that you can possibly make. I love to see when dudes do this and they go and they lose a whole bunch of pounds and their lives improve. It's great stuff, to be honest. So she wants him back. Hilarious. One night, she hit rock bottom. She went out with a guy 3 weeks after moving out and got jumped by 4 girls who beat the crap out of her. What is this? This woman must be such a piece of crap, by the way, to just provoke a bunch of random women. Maybe they're women who, you know, boyfriends she got with. He couldn't help but laugh. She left me thinking she'd upgrade. Now she's broke, living off her parents and a side piece to random dudes. Meanwhile, he had started dating a younger, more successful woman. This would piss women off, by the way, right? It's like, dudes don't really care about the success, but I think a lot of women do, right? They see you dating some young woman who's more successful than she was, better looking than she was, and this absolutely would piss an ex-wife off to absolutely no end. I finally met someone who actually appreciates me. I should have left years ago. I'm glad this dude's life improved. That's some fantastic stuff. But hilarious story here. So this woman, she leaves thinking that she'd be able to get with a doctor guy, completely fails, and now she's just a side piece to random dudes. Excellent stuff. Guys, we're going to be leaving it there. Do not forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.